Back everybody, it's Friday, so we are learning with Matt McKernan, and today we are talking about some specific flowers that you would find in our area and the best way to care for them. What do we have, Matt?
Yes, today we brought with us a bunch of iris and peonies. These are two common perennials that grow year after year in Kansas and are very well adapted to our climate. With the iris, there's quite a few different types. There's some water-loving iris like Siberian iris, Japanese iris, or Dutch iris. But one of the most common times is more what we call the bearded iris.
Okay.
These are very drought tolerant and have really nice upright sword-like leaves that are there most of the year. And then early May time frame, they get these beautiful blooms. There's typically long stalks with multiple flowers, so you're going to get several weeks worth of growth out of these.
Yeah, and they're really beautiful. And then Matt, what do we have over here?
So with this we have peonies, which is a common Memorial Day flower, but typically they typically are going to bloom in the earlier parts of May. And with peonies, they also love full sun. And one of the common misconceptions about peonies is often there's a lot of ants associated with the plants. A lot of people think that the ants are bad or that they are necessary for the flowers, where actually what happens with peonies is the flower buds that form secrete a nectar which the ants consume. And this is beneficial for both the ant and the flower because the ant then has a food source, but the ant also helps protect the flower buds from other insects that might want to come along and damage those flowers before they bloom.
And you said some people think, oh, I have to do something to get rid of these ants or we need to spray, but you absolutely don't want to do that.
That's not the case at all, absolutely. So we want to leave the ants be. If we want to make cut flower arrangements like this, ideally what we'd look for is pruning or cutting these buds before they're fully opened, just as they start to show a little bit of color.
Okay.
It's easy to wipe the ants off. Or we can hang these upside down and shake them to knock the ants off of them before we bring them inside if they're already fully open. One of the problems with peonies that often occurs is they may not bloom, and there's a few common reasons for that. Either the peonies are newly planted or newly transplanted before they need a few years to establish before they'll really start to bloom. But if they've been there a while, we often want to make sure they have enough sunshine because if it gets too shady, they'll stop blooming. We also want to make sure they're planted at the right depth. If those tops of the peony crown, the roots underneath, are more than 1 to 2 inches deep, often they'll put up leaves every year, but not flowers because it takes too much energy to get all that extra distance up out of the soil.
All right, as usual, such great advice. Thank you, we appreciate it.
Of course.